Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. I'm Mehmet, your host for Memli Coffee Lab, and today we're going to follow up on our Hario Switch recipe. We made this video thanks to the support of our Patreon, who decided to dig deep into the Hario Switch for the month of March. Last time I compared the Clever Dripper and the Hario Switch with a classic full immersion recipe, and then I elevated the Hario Switch recipe using a first 50 grams of pour or 60 grams of pour, another similar pour, and then the third as immersion. As I always do, I always break my pour into 4. And for the Hario Switch recipe, I was using the first 2 pours as pour over and the last 2 as 1 immersion. And the result was an amazing balanced cup of coffee. But with some of my coffees, it tends to clog, and I had some of the dryness and astringency from time to time, especially when I've been using high density and very lightly roasted coffee, which is mostly the roasting style that we are using on a daily basis. So I went back to the drawing board and fine-tuned that recipe, found the best recipe, number 2 so far. Because there's no ultimate best recipes in the world. We're just trying to make this coffee better. And through innovation, through new findings, we're just slowly evolving together to find the most adapted recipe for the coffee we have. Remember that the coffee recipe first starts with the coffee. So what do we have right here? A little stick to create a divot, the YDT tool, our carafe, the Hario Switch, and here I'm using the classic Cafe Abaca filter. Nothing fancy, nothing new, just a classic one. Here I'm using our newest limited coffee from Granja Esperanza, Finca Potosi. It is a hybrid washed Sidra variety, a unique coffee with only 1.2 hectare planted, with notes of cherry blossom, tropical fruits, and vanilla praline finish. Now, let's move on to the recipe. I'm first going to, as usual, rinse my paper filter. The ratio for this recipe is 1 to 15.5. So not as strong as the 1 to 15, but not the classic 1 to 16 ratio. I'm using 15 grams of coffee for 230 grams of water at 96 degrees. Now, about the pouring structure. The first pour is 100 grams. Yes, it's a lot. 100 grams in 20 seconds. So we're going to pour 100 grams of coffee, of water, over 15 grams of coffee in 20 seconds, and then wait for 1 minute. After 1 minute, I'm gonna block my valve and pour the rest in 20 seconds, wait another minute, and then release the valve. First pour 100 grams of coffee and try to pour within 20 seconds. So not too slow, not too fast, just normal. Here I'm finishing out at 17 seconds, so I'm quite good. Take your YDT tool and try to kind of remove any clumps. Not too much agitation, but just like poke it a little bit to remove clumps. That's it. And then we're gonna wait for 1 minute of that first pour. In the meantime, you want to chill your kettle. You can add water to it, although I don't like that method because it can be too cold, or just take out the cap and for 10 seconds, swirl. The idea of having a colder temperature is to avoid any astringency once again, because often, 1 minute, and pouring my immersion until 230. So what happens with hot water is that the flow is a little bit faster, and fines can migrate a little bit faster to the bottom, which creates some clogging when you're going to drain your coffee. Here we go. And we're gonna wait until 2 minutes. And in 10 seconds or 2 minutes, I'll release the valve, and it should drain within a minute. I don't want it to last until 3 minutes, 30, 4 minutes, like it used to with the old recipe. 2 minutes, and we're ready. Remember, the reason why I'm cooling the kettle is to avoid any harshness in the finish. The previous recipe was good. It has a great balance with slightly less brightness, a lot of sweetness, a lot of texture, but often the finish was a little bit too short and harsh, just slightly, especially with our harder beans and very light coffees. And this is one of the examples that used to clog, but with this recipe, not at all, and the result is absolutely fantastic. I call the end when the surface is dry. I don't let for the entire water to pass through because then it's just the end of the extraction and you have like some nuttiness and dryness on the palate. And I can see now it's done at 3:05. Again, the idea of fine-tuning a recipe is to find in your cup what you experience on a cupping table. Because on a cupping table, there's no bypass, there's no fine migration, it's just cupping. And the idea is to have some similarities. The positive qualities that you find in a cupping table, find them again on the pour-over. And with this recipe so far is the best that I came up with. So on the nose, we should have here a lot of floral notes and some fruitiness. And as expected, it's really, really floral with a lot of cherry blossom and a tiny bit of lychee. Not much raspberry. Here you have lychee, raspberries, some grapes, as well as vanilla praline in the finish on the taste. But on the smell, it's really floral and with tropical fruit. Once again, with our recipe, I find nice syrupy texture. Great flavors, complexity with cherry blossom. I find the raspberries here, the lychee. The candy is not yet. When it cools down, you'll have more of that candy quality. The grapes, not yet. You'll find it when it's cooled down. And the finish is so sweet. A lot of vanilla, a lot of praline. Delicious. A lot of clarity, a lot of brightness as well. It's a little bit juicier and more transparent than the previous recipe. The finish, smooth, clean, not astringent, not dry. Very great cup of coffee. This is so far, once again, so far, the best recipe. It's not the best in the world, the ultimate best, but based on my knowledge on this date, March 22nd, it is the best with this kind of coffee. So remember, the recipe, the quality, first comes with the coffee that you have. This is beautiful. Try this recipe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything I should change, I should try. Don't forget to subscribe. Grab a bag of this amazing Potosi hybrid washed Sidra variety from Granja Esperanza with notes of cherry blossom, raspberries, lychees, cotton grape candy, as well as a very sweet vanilla praline finish. It's a unique cup of coffee, very limited in quantity. Take care and see you next time.